the life and martyrdom of the Uganda martyrs. The Catholic Church liturgical calendar is dotted with a variety of commemorative feasts, days which the Church has set aside so that we can give thanks to the Lord for the life and testimony of particular people who reveal something special to us about what it means to follow Jesus Christ. June 3rd is such a day, the feast of the Uganda martyrs. Christianity arrived in the kingdom of the Buganda people, Buganda Kingdom, in the later part of the 19th century. The first missionaries to arrive were British Anglicans in the 1877, and later French Roman Catholic missionaries arrived on February 17, 1879. These were all welcomed, received by the king of Buganda by then, King Mutesa, who was impressed that they behaved well and never engaged in slave-related activities. The mission went well, and the first Ugandan Anglicans were baptized on March 18, 1882. In the meantime, right from 1879, Ortho-Catholicism began spreading in the country, spearheaded by the White Fathers, the missionaries of Africa, a congregation of priests founded by Cardinal Lavigerie. These missionaries soon began preparing catechumens for baptism, and before long, a number of the young pages in the king's court had become Catholics. Unfortunately, on October 9, 1884, King Mutesa died. This is the king that had welcomed the missionaries. The newly enthroned king, Mwanga, was young, just 18 years of age, and corrupt, who literally engaged in pedophile practices with the young pages. He was suspicious of foreigners and had a savage temper. In October 1885, after a dangerous overland trek from the Indian Ocean coast, the new Anglican bishop of the East Equatorial Africa, James Hannington, made a mistake of entering Uganda from the east, the traditional entry point for enemies, as had been earlier said, prophetized by the king's traditional prophets. Consequently, the bishop was detained, and on October 29, 1885, executed on orders of King Mwanga. But Mwanga didn't limit his hunger to foreigners only. Already in January of the same year, Mwanga had 3 Ugandan Anglican converts dismembered and burned because they were working for missionary Alexander Mackay, who had refused Mwanga's protection. The worst punishment, however, were reserved for Mwanga's own servants. Many of the pages of the king's court had become Christians. They were called readers because they had become literate in order to read the Bible, which Mackay was translating. On May 25th, 1886, Mwanga called for some servants. 2 pages entered named Sebugwao and Mwafu. When he questioned their activities of the day, Mwafu answered that he had been learning about the Christian faith from Sebugwao. Mwanga exploded. The king had learned the practice of sodomy from Arab traders, and Mwafu was his favorite. Mwanga knew that if Mwafu became a Christian, he would no longer comply to the practice. Therefore, as a preventive measure, 3 Christian servants were beaten and killed that day. 9 more were executed in various ways over the next weeks. 37 were detained at the execution site at Namugongo, knowing that their end was not far. The missionaries were heart sick with the decision of the king, and they pleaded for the release of the prisoners. However, though they were not forbidden to preach, even though the king left the missionaries to continue with the practice of evangelization, they were told that as many were converted, they would later on be killed. On the night of the martyrdom of Joseph Mukasa, realizing that their own lives were in danger, Charles Lwanga and some of other pages went on the White Father's house to receive baptism. Another 100 catechumens were baptized in the week following Joseph Mukasa's death. The following May, King Mwanga learned that one of the pages was learning catechism. He was so furious and ordered all the pages to be questioned to separate the Christians from the others. The Christians, 15 in all, between the age of 13 and 25, stepped forward. The king asked them if they were willing to keep their faith, and all together uniformly they answered, until death. They were bound together and taken on a 2-day walk to Namugongo, where they were to be burned at the stake. On the way, Martyr Kalemba, one of the oldest pages, exclaimed, "God will rescue me, but you will not see how he does it, because he will take my soul and leave you only my body." The executioners cut him to pieces and left him to die alone on the road. When they reached the site, they were to be burned. They were kept tied for 7 days while the executioners prepared the wood for the fire. Finally, 3rd June 1886, the feast of the Ascension of the Lord, the 25-year-old Charles Lwanga, a man wholly dedicated to the Christian instruction of the young boys, became the chief page. Lwanga was killed at the place of detention, but separately from the others, roasted over a slow fire. It is said that he told his executioners that though they were burning him, it was as though they were pouring water over his feet. "Be aware," he said, "of the fire that lasts forever." He then continued to pray silently as they set him on fire. Just before the flames reached his heart, he looked up and said in a loud voice, Katonda, which translates God, and he died. The rest of his companions were marched a mile away, where they were rolled in reed mats and bound. 4 of the young boys were clubbed to death to spare them the pain. 5 were given last-minute pardon. At noon, the pyre was lit. 31 martyrs were burned. The violence of the king's persecution scattered other believers through the kingdom and other parts of the country, where more reading soon sprang up. The faith of Ugandan Christians, matured by the witness of the martyrs, the blood they shed, that has lived through more recent period of violence. There were 22 proto-martyrs in all. As Catholics, majority of the martyrs that were killed on the same day were Anglicans. However, there are some other 2 martyrs that were later on killed by the regimes that came in power. That is David Okello and Ido Hirwa from northern Uganda, Kitukumu district, Gulu archdiocese. This brings up the total of the martyrs of Uganda to 24, 22 being saints, 2 are beatified. St. Charles Lwanga and the companion died between November 15, 1885 and January 27, 1887 in Uganda. The 22 were all beatified in 1920 by His Holiness Pope Benedict XV and canonized by His Holiness Pope Paul VI, October 18, 1964 in St. Peter's Basilica, Vatican City, Rome. In the next videos, we shall be highlighting the life and the particulars of each martyr as we all know them. Not only the 22 martyrs that are already canonized, but also the 2 who were beatified. Thank you for watching.